Hey guys, welcome to my November TBR. I have a hard time believing that we're so close to the end of the year as we really are. Today I'm sitting a little closer to my TBR cart and my Agatha Christie books than normal because I am going into this TBR video at least not having a clue what I'm going to choose. I have a few different prompts that I'm going to be picking books from based off of different challenges that I'm doing this year, but I'm kind of going into this month blind for the fact that I want to keep my TBR small because I did not, let's be honest, I had a huge October TBR. I wanted to read all the books and there is still some time left in October. I will get some of them done, but there's still a lot on my stack that I will probably be pulling from during the month of October or November as well. So I purposely want to make sure this is a small TBR so I can get through some October ones and all my November ones and maybe have a little bit of wiggle room for some mood reading. So we're going to be going through the different prompts for the different challenges that I'm doing, pick books that way, and I think we're going to start with my Patreon picks. They recently added some new book ideas in here for me. So I don't know if this will be like a new one or an old one, but let's see. One book that I will be reading this month. I think this feels like it was folded like it was an old one. Oh yeah, okay. This is the legendary, oh I forget how to pronounce this. We did talk about this in a book club a couple months ago. INGE. This is a recommendation from Ashley and she talked about it, and I know you want to say Inge or something like that because that is Inga, maybe is actually how you pronounce it. I will look into that. I'm gonna find it on Goodreads, give a brief synopsis. I'm very curious about this one. I think it's fantasy because that is often what Ashley reads. Plagued by misfortune, Ingrid Norling treks into the woods to clear her head. She emerges a monster slayer, the shaken executioner of a creature so ferocious that even the king's strongest warriors could not destroy it. In a land that reveres swords and worships strength, this accidental heroism earns Inga, I think, an audience at court. So it's Ingrid. So is it just Ing? Maybe. An audience at court and a most ill-fated prize. King Halvard impulsively adopts her and names her as his heir. Under constant guard to prevent her escape, this Ingrid, who will figure out how to say her name, confronts the ignoble underbelly of the royal court, a despotic king, a clueless princess, a proud warrior, and a dangerous intrigue. As secrets unravel around her and the castle threatens to become an elaborate death trap, she must keep her wits close and her weapons closer. The monster in the woods was only the beginning. I'm just curious to know, obviously it's fantasy here, but is it Christian fantasy? It doesn't obviously sound like it. I'm going to search on, I'll go to Goodreads on the web. For some reason, the app really needs a lot of work. I would really like to be able to switch the edition of my book on the app, but you can't do that, so I often go into the desktop version. So it says young adult, fantasy, fiction, magic, adventure, so we'll see. I don't really know. So that will be one of the books that I will be reading this month. Hopefully my library actually has it or I can get a hold of it some way. Then one of the things I'm going to be doing this year is my Read Your Bookshelf challenge, and the prompt for November is cozy/nostalgic. So I've been thinking about this because that definitely gives rereading vibes, but I think I'm going to not reread a book because the whole point of the Read Your Bookshelf challenge is to read books that I have on my shelf that I haven't read, or sometimes I'll use a library book. So I was kind of looking at my cart earlier, and I'm not sure, maybe there's something else that will jump out at me. I guess, I feel like I maybe have two options. Emily Climbs, because Ella Montgomery just gives all the cozy vibes and a little bit of nostalgia, but I mostly have read her as an adult, so mostly cozy vibes. And this is book 2 in the Emily series. I read book 1 a long time ago, I think close to 10 years ago already. And then the other one would maybe be Francine Rivers. I have this It's got 5 different stories from 5 women of the Bible: Tamar, Rahab, Ruth, Bathsheba, and Mary. And I did read, I don't know how much Francine Rivers in high school, because she was one of the authors that my school library had. So I'm going to do a lot of random number generators today to help me decide. This will be number 1, this will be number 2, and then we will see which one it picks. Okay, between 1 and 2, so you guys know I'm not cheating. Let's focus, focus, focus. Okay, let's generate 2. Okay, so I will be reading A Lineage of Grace. So this is a big one considering I'm trying to keep a small TBR, but we'll see. If I can't get through all 5 stories, hopefully I can at least get started, but maybe they'll also be quick reads. Sometimes that happens. So this will be the second book on my TBR. Okay, and then I needed to run upstairs for this next book because I actually remembered that I'm going to be doing Corina's, she's doing like a nostalgic readathon for, I think it's October 30th to November 5th, something like that. And she has a few different prompts. I'll leave her video and her channel linked below. I have 2 different options for this prompt. I'm thinking of either rereading A Little Princess. I love the 95 version of this movie. When the first month I was in university, a girl asked me if I had been a child actress because she thought that I was one of the people, she thought I looked like one of the actresses from A Little Princess. But, you know, it kind of oh, that makes you feel whatever. She thought I was like the mean girl. So that's not cool. But the 95 version of the book, of the movie, is really good. The ending is different than the book, and I like the movie ending better, but I also grew up watching the movie ending, or the movie, and I only read this as an adult, but I would kind of like to reread this one. My other option is to read some Sherlock. This is probably my favorite writer story collection, whatever you want to call it. And it's been a while since I've reread some of the short stories, so I'm gonna play this by ear. It's gonna be one of these during that week. Okay, and then I am doing Books and Lola's Buzzwordathon, and I think the prompt for November is to read a book that has the letters ing, like in the title. So I have a couple options here. This book is actually one that a lot of people have said really good things about, The Queen's Rising. I think this is one of the ones. I also have Mapping the Bones. I think this has been on my TBR. I think these 2, plus, oh no, this one hasn't been quite as long. These 2 I think have been on here since I first made my TBR cart. There's also The Forgetting, which has another ing. This one I know I've heard good things about. I feel like The Queen's Rising too, but I might be getting them confused. Okay, so these are the fiction books on here that end in ing. So we'll go to the random number generator again. We got 1, 2, 3, and we will see what it says. Number 1. Okay, so that means I am trying The Queen's Rising. I'm very curious. I did this one a long time ago for a video of trying, I tried the first sentence or the first paragraph or something. I can't remember if it was on here or if I did that one for Patreon. I think this one has a good paragraph in the prologue here. It says, Magnalia House was the sort of establishment where only wealthy, talented girls mastered the passion. It wasn't designed for girls who were lacking, for girls who were illegitimate daughters, and certainly not for girls who defied kings. I, of course, happen to be all 3 of those things. So that one will be on the list for the Buzzwordathon prompt. I really need to get to these other 2 really soon too, but we'll see. And then the second last, I think, book I'm going to put on here is an Agatha Christie. So I read an Agatha Christie every month this year, and I don't actually know where to go from here. The last few months it's been really easy because I've been reading Tommy and Tuppence, finishing that series. I don't know what to read next. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull out 3 of them, read the first sentence, just the first sentence of them, and then go from there. So maybe I'll pull out this one. So I've read The Murder of Roger Ackroyd, The Secret Adversary, and The Moving Finger. The Boomerang Clue I've never heard of. Death Comes as the End I have another copy of. But The Boomerang Clue, I don't know if that's been published under a different name these days. I don't think so. Or not that I'm aware of. So I'm going to read the first sentence of The Boomerang Clue and Death Comes as the End, and then I'll pick one more. The Boomerang Clue. Bobby Jones teed up his ball. Oh, wait a minute. Yes. The Boomerang Clue. It's also, Murder on the Links, I think. I just read this one. I read this one earlier this year. Yeah, okay. So I've read The Boomerang Clue. And it does have a different name. Death Comes as the End. We'll try that one. Oh, this one is one of her Egyptian ones. Like, she wrote quite a few set in Egypt. And I don't know how to pronounce this name. So this guy, I think, this person, stood looking out over the Nile. That's a really boring first sentence. Okay, let's do Destination Unknown because I'm kind of obsessed with this cover. It's pretty cool. This one, the man behind the desk moved a heavy glass paperweight 4 inches to the right. Well, that's not gripping either, but that is more interesting than just looking over the Nile. Let's try this one, The Pale Horse. This does not follow one of her normal detectives according to the spine. I like that this edition says if it's Miss Marple or Tommy and Tuppence, so you have an idea of what you're getting into. The espresso machine behind my shoulder hissed like an angry snake. None of these were very good. Okay, well, we're gonna do back to random number generator. We got 1 and 2. The other one was definitely worse. These were not great. Maybe she's not very good at her opening sentences. I've never actually paid attention with hers. We're having some major focusing troubles. There we go. It's not working now. Number 2. Okay, so we're gonna go with The Pale Horse. I don't really know much about it then. It says, when an elderly priest is murdered, the killer searches the victim so roughly that his already ragged cassock is torn in the process. What was the killer looking for? And what had a dying woman confided to the priest on her deathbed only hours earlier? I've never really heard much about this one. Okay, and then the last thing I wanted to do was pick out one. At the beginning of the year, I made a list of fiction books that I wanted to read by the end of the year, and I have 3 or 4 left, I think, and I don't remember which ones were all on it, but I know the Glasstown game is, and I don't have any kind of like middle grade on the stack, so I feel like this would be a good distraction. This is based off of the Brontes. They made a world, I think it was called Glasstown. It was a game called Glasstown where there's toy soldiers fight Napoleon and no one dies. And that actually happened. And then this is a story based off of that. I don't really know. I feel like I've heard conflicting things. The cover's really cool though. I've had this on my TBR shelf for quite some time, so it will feel good to get it done. I'm just trying to see if there's any. Oh yeah, there is a couple illustrations throughout, at least one. The cover gives the vibe that there will be more illustrations, but oh, there's another one. There's like a couple. Maybe there's one more. Okay, so there's a few little illustrations throughout. I was hoping for more, but I'm gonna give this one a try as well. So this, along with the book that I need to see if I can get from the library that is a Patreon pick, is going to be what I read in the month of November, along with trying to finish whatever I don't finish from my October TBR. Plus there's been a few books that I haven't finished from months past that I'm going to try to finish up because December is going to be a lot of rereading for me, as well as some Christmas books. So that's kind of my focus. So let me know something that you plan on reading in the month of November.